Happy Stranger Things Day to all who celebrate. I woke up super early to watch episode 8 only because Alonso, you and I are going to have a recap of that over at our Patreon.
That's right. Episode 8 this week, or sorry, episode 7 this week,
Episode
8 this week, episode 9 next week. Don't spoil anything for us.
We can only hold so much information in our brains at once.
Yeah.
And so we're doing them one at a time. So Nick and I got up early and watched it on that couch back there.
It's getting to where I need a yarn board to like follow all the who is where and why on Stranger Things.
It's a lot and it's like emotionally dense. And so we're taking them one at a time. So go check us out over at Patreon for episode 8. Also, we've got to mention our friends at Cinemapolis one more time. They are in Ithaca, New York, in the beautiful Finger Lakes region. If you've never been, it's a lovely time to go visit. They have wineries. They apparently have lakes that are shaped like fingers. What more do you need?
Hence the name.
Yes. And so they have Elvis playing right now, and they're going to have a bunch of great art house stuff coming up in upcoming weeks. So we are thrilled to tell you about them, Cinemapolis. All right. There was a big story in the LA Times this week. This is kind of an inside baseball thing, but if you've been following any of the Harvey Weinstein allegations, any of the Scott Rudin allegations, this is sort of an amalgamation of all of that.
Oh,
A guy named Randall Emmett, who's a longtime producer here in LA. And among the things that you may know him from are all these incredibly terrible Bruce Willis films that he's made over the past couple of years, which we now know why he made those, because he was suffering from aphasia and he wanted to bank as much as he could to support his younger children. And so there's this whole huge, month-long investigation into him and to his abusive practices toward his employees, to the way he treated Bruce Willis, the demands allegedly for sexual favors in exchange for parts, that he fashioned himself like a wheeler dealer along the lines of the guys in Entourage, but also he has done, some actually legitimate and even prestigious stuff. Like he was a producer on The Irishman. He was a producer on Silence. And so he has that going, but mostly he makes these really crappy B movies, less than B movies. And so there's a big, long story about him, and he was married, or he was engaged to a Real Housewife. Anyway.
Yeah. The whole Bruce Willis thing, the more that we learn about it, the more this kind of just sort of reeks of elder abuse, frankly, that he was being exploited, and it's not a good look on anybody. And I think the more that people are investigating stuff, the worse things are going to find out about it.
Yeah. This guy also asked a lot of his employees, assistants, he's very abusive verbally to them, and like would throw things and would demand that they use their own credit cards for his expenses, and like go into this safe in this hotel room and get the stuff out for me. And it's like a brick of Coke. Yeah. Anyway, it's all according to this investigation. So we'll link to it down below. They did a whole lot of work on it. So there's that. R. Kelly was sentenced to 30 years in prison for racketeering and sex trafficking. This is many, many, many years in the making.
Yes.
Verdict.
Did you watch any of the R. Kelly docs on Lifetime?
Surviving R. Kelly?
Mm-hmm.
I think I did in pieces, but it's so hard to watch.
No, I absolutely. I wouldn't. I hold no judgment because like I know a lot of people are like I couldn't see it all happening and listen to the testimonies, but it's quite damning.
Right. So that happened this week. We also have some good news. That is that the Cinerama Dome in Hollywood is apparently one step closer to reopening. This is a devastating day for us here in LA, or for any film lovers who've ever gone to a movie at the Cinerama Dome. It's historic. The Dome and the ArcLight both closed because of the pandemic, but now apparently they have taken out like liquor and food licensing, because there are plans for at least a couple of restaurants and a bar in that complex. We don't know yet when movies might begin again, but whatever it's going to be is going to be renamed Cinerama Hollywood.
Yes. And apparently the plans do include to reopen all 14 screens of the ArcLight. So that's great news, because we were just talking recently about the closure of the Landmark recently, how the loss of those two theaters was a big blow for like smaller kind of, indie art house, foreign niche titles. Those were the places they played.
Right. And you always knew what a high quality experience you would have technically, and that's hard to come by always, even if folks mean well, about projection and sound and that kind of thing. So we will keep you posted on that. If you've ever seen a movie at the Cinerama Dome, Dome. You know how fantastic it is. Let us know in the comments if this is a place you've ever been to because you live here or you visited here and that was a must-see destination.
Or maybe you just know it from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, they transformed that place. So that happened. Hundreds of new Academy members got invited this week, including our good friend and colleague, Leonard Maltin.
Woo! Well deserved.
Congrats, Leonard. Who else of note did you notice on the list? Andrew On.
Really? Oh, I missed that. Oh, that's great. Oh, congratulations. We love Andrew.
The winners from this past year, including Ariana DeBose and Troy Kotsur. But it's a really great, diverse crowd of folks. But we're proud of our buddy Leonard, who like embodies the lifelong love of film.
Oh, for sure.
Tim Allen says that Lightyear is not really about his Toy Story character.
And he's right.
He's kept his silence until now. Right. He's kind of right. I hate that he's kind of right, but the way he's saying it is intended to be so dismissive. Like, I don't know her.
Well, but look, it isn't though. That's the thing. And this is such a fake controversy over nothing. It would make no sense to have him play it. In fact, in the meta textual thing of it all, the idea that Tim Allen's voice is the voice they hired to do the toy because they couldn't get the guy who played Lightyear in the movie, you know, like that actually makes sense. And it's not like Disney is, oh, they're canceling because they're woke. He's doing a fucking Santa Claus show for Disney Plus that's airing later this year. So everybody calm down.
Anyway, yes, this Lightyear controversy continues, but he was on Extra and did an interview and he's like, this is not the Lightyear character I know. This is not the Toy Story universe that I know because it does not exist without Woody. So
again, he's not wrong. Like that's the point of this movie. He is saying the obvious thing that apparently needs to be said because his, you know, there are so many people on his side of the aisle that are like, meh about this, you know.
Did you read this Dakota Johnson piece in Vanity Fair?
No, do tell.
It's really good. So she just seems cool, you know, just stylish and easygoing and cool, whatever. But she's honest, like I think maybe for the first time publicly about what a trip it was shooting 50 Shades of Grey and how it is not at all what she signed up for, especially that first film with Sam Taylor Johnson. Because like the writer of the books, E.L. James, like insisted on having it done a certain way. They would shoot a scene to please the author of the books, and then they would do it like a good way. Like they shot it 2 entirely different times, kind of like The Room.
There you go. Well, look, she can afford to be frank about this now because it's like the 50 Shades movie are for her and Jamie Dornan what the Twilight movies were for Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. This stupid thing that launched these people who are actually interesting performers who are doing entirely other kinds of filmmaking and who aren't tethered to that hit anymore because they've done other interesting stuff that has nothing to do with that hit. And so so she can be like, yeah, let me tell you about this nonsense, you know, because we shouldn't give a shit. She is 3rd generation Hollywood. She has so few fucks to give. It's kind of fun to watch.
She also says the idea that she and Jamie Dornan like didn't get along on set is bullshit.
Probably, yeah.
Like we're buddies and we look out for each other, she says. So
you can't come through an experience like that with the brickbats of the world aimed at you and not like form some kind of bond, you know. It's you're in that foxhole together that, you know, it happens.
Anyway, it's a really interesting article, so go check it out, with beautiful photography, of course, and she's just stunning as always. So the Knives Out sequel will premiere at Toronto. I keep wanting to call it Green Onion, but it's not. It's Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery that'll premiere at Toronto. So
you know what that's a reference to, right?
I don't. Tell me.
Oh, it's a Beatles song.
Oh.
It's, I think, the White Album.
Can you sing a little bit for me?
It's the one where they make the joke about the walrus was Paul. Dun, dun, to the glass onion.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all I got.
I thought it was I am the Eggman, I am the walrus.
No, it's a different song. And then later in Glass Onion, they make a joke about the walrus was Paul. Like if you were looking for clues in those songs.
So Cameron Diaz is coming out of retirement. I'm not sure I ever realized she was in retirement. I thought she just decided to like be low key for a while. I guess that means retirement. Like,
yeah, I had heard that, but in that, it's in that Steven Soderbergh Miyazaki way where like, you reserve the right to unretire at any given moment.
right. I mean, like, was she collecting on her 401k? I don't think so. Probably not.
She was in Boca playing shuffleboard,
She's using her AARP card. She and I are the exact same age.
Well,
the same day. We are all too young to retire.
No kidding.
So she's making a Netflix movie, an action comedy with Jamie Foxx. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. And then Julia Roberts and George Clooney. You were waiting for them to get back together again, weren't you? They are making a romantic comedy that just from the trailer looks like a parody of a romantic comedy. It looks like if there were a rom-com about Hollywood, this would be the fake rom-com inside of it, starring Julia Roberts and George Clooney. It's called Ticket to Paradise. Did you watch the trailer for this? Probably not.
No. It's called Habeas Corpus. Yeah, no, it's... I think, here's what happened last month or 2 months ago now, all those articles came out about, oh, Tom Cruise, he's the last movie star. Mm. And they were like, oh, really? Hold my Chablis,
Anyway, so they are bickering exes who travel to Bali for their daughter's wedding, and they don't like the guy that she's marrying. So they're going to try to break it up, and wouldn't you know, it gets them back together in the process.
Sold.